Hey guys, what's up everybody? Welcome or welcome back again to the Apex Academy of Mathematics. We are learning the language of the universe begins here. And of course on this channel we teach students how to master their fundamental ability and to conquer their fear which they have in math. Alright, now this video is a fundamental mathematical video. It is mainly to help students to build a very important aspect of their fundamental mathematical skill. And as the title suggests here, we're going to be talking about the addition and subtraction of directed numbers, which are otherwise called integers. Yes, that's what we're going to be doing in this video. And so we're going to be just going through a few basic definitions as well as a few basic examples, but mainly this is a part one of perhaps a 2 or 3 part series where we're going to be talking about the standard rules governing the addition and subtraction of directed or what we call integers. Yes, so we're going to be going through in part 2 I'm going to teach you what is called the O and have technique. Yes, but in this particular video we're just going to be going through a few examples of some basic addition and subtraction of integers. All right, so we want to start this video off by defining what an integer is. So it's really good if it is that you're using this channel as a medium for studying for a class, or it's a revision that you're doing. It's really good to take down these definitions, or you can just do very well by just listening and understanding the concept. All right, and at any point during this video that you feel like you're getting some content, or I should say some value from this video, definitely be sure to hit like and make sure that you share this video with anyone who may be struggling with perhaps this aspect of the math. All right, fantastic. So let's get started with some definition, guys. So we want to start off by talking about what is an integer. Yes, that's what we want to start off with. All right, so an integer basically is what I would call a positive or a negative whole number. That's what an integer basically is. All right, so we have to pay attention to this part here, especially this part here where we talk about the fact that an integer is a positive or negative whole number. All right, so we know that a whole number is a number that pretty much starts from 0 and goes all the way in the direction of positive infinity, or it could possibly go in the direction of negative infinity. And so once it goes in the direction of a positive infinity, once it goes in the direction of positive infinity, we see that it's a positive integer. And once it goes in the direction of in negative infinity, we see that it's a negative integer. All right, but in general, a integer is a positive or a negative whole number. All right, so the numbers that we're basically looking at are numbers like, let's say for example 3, maybe 4, 5, and so on. Yes, numbers like that. Or it could be, let's say, numbers -2, -3, let's say -7. All right, let's just erase this here, make it a little bit neat for you. All right, so these are basically what we call these numbers are negative integers and these are positive integers. Yes, all right, good. So we have gotten that definition of what an integer is. Yes, so we can definitely exclude the fact that decimal numbers we would not call those integers. In fact, in future videos you're going to be taught that decimal numbers, which are otherwise called irrational numbers, that's what they're called, but we're looking at numbers, for example 3, 4, 5, or -7, -2, -3. Yes, those are what we call positive integers and negative integers. Good. So now that we have that definition out of the way, let's now look at the number line. The number line is a very, very important fundamental principle that a student needs to understand. And as I said to you before, this is part 1 of a 2 or 3 part series. We're in this video, we're going to be looking at the standard rules governing the addition and subtraction of integers. All right, good. So let's look at what is the number line. What is the number line? All right, so the number line basically is a line that contains all the positive and negative numbers that are in, or that is in our number system. Yes, so it's basically a straight line. Yes, let's draw a straight line here. Oh, good, nice. And it has an arrow at the end, right, that indicates continuation. All right, let's do this part a little bit for you here. Okay, so it suggests continuation, and what it's saying here is that in the middle of the number line here we have the number 0. I'm going to tell you what that 0 represents in a moment. Yes, but the numbers that go in, let's take out a different color ink here. Let's put some color code to our work here. Let's use orange right here. All right, so we're going to send an arrow going in that direction here. And in that direction, what we're going to be finding are positive integers. All right, and this goes all the way to positive infinity. That's the direction. All right, so here we're going to find numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, all the way in the direction of positive infinity. But on this side now, we're going to be finding numbers like, say for example here, let's try it this way here, this direction. All right, so we're going to find numbers like -1, -2, -3, and so on. So we go in the direction of negative infinity. All right, that's the direction that we're going in. All right, now 0 is what I would let me just write this word here for you. All right, so this is all right, so let's go here. This is here. Okay, so negative. Good. Are we back? Nice. Negative integers. All right, good, fantastic. All right, so 0, it's neither positive or negative. It's what I would refer to as a neutral integer. Right, it falls more on the positive side, yes, but we don't classify it as a positive number. We just classify it as a neutral number or a neutral integer. All right, good. So once we have that out of the way, let's take this information here off the screen. All right, and so we're going to go into what is called, or what I would call, recognizing the difference between a positive and a negative number. And I know that so far you may have already understood this concept, but trust and believe this is a fundamental principle that many students do have issues with. All right, so let's not take it for granted here. So recognizing the difference between a positive and a negative number. Now let's take for example the number 4. Okay, let's take for example the number 4. All right, there isn't any sign that's in front of the 4. So how do we know if this is a positive or a negative number? Yeah, so since there is no sign in front of the 4, there is what is called an understood sign. So we can put let's use an orange here for example, and let's put a positive here, and we see that that's an understood positive. It's not written clearly here, so let's write it again. So that's positive here, positive. So it's understood as a positive, yes. But let's say now here that we have the same, not a different number, let's say 6, but then we have a plus sign here in front of it. So let's say we have a plus sign in front of it here. Yes, good. So clearly you can see that this number here is a positive 6. but there's no sign in front of the 4, so you're not able to really say whether or not it's positive or negative. But when there isn't a sign in front of a number or an integer, it is understood as a positive number. So therefore we say that this 4 is a positive 4. All right, good. Now it's easy to identify a negative integer because negative is affiliated with the minus sign. So let's say that we have the number 7 here. All right, good, number 7, and there's a minus sign. Clearly you can see that this here is a negative 7 right here. Good. So now that we know the difference between a positive and a negative number, during any form of calculations that we may be doing, we can definitely know the difference between those two numbers. All right. Now there are what are called standard rules when it comes to adding and subtracting these numbers, and there is an easy concept, there's an easy aspect to it. Let's say, for example, if you wanted to, let's say, add the numbers 3 plus 4, all right, or 10 minus 2. All right, I mean, even if you hate math or you do not like to calculate, most persons will know that the answer for 3 plus 4 is equal to 7, and 10 minus 2 is equal to 8. All right, so that's fairly easy. But here's where the what I would call the confusion comes into play, is when you give a student an example like, hey, work this problem out without a calculator. Let's say negative 7 plus 9. All right, or you might have them work out a question. Let's say, for example, 11 minus 16, or you have them work out a problem. Let's say negative 3 minus 11. All right, so these are 3 problems here. Let me just put a little line here. All right, and let's work it out here. All right, good. All right, fantastic, good. So let's use a different color ink to show some difference in our calculations here. All right, good. So with this rule here, when you have 2 integers, here we have 9 as an integer and we have 7 as an integer. Here the 2 signs are opposite. All right, the 7 has a negative and the 9 has a positive. And usually when this happens, the standard rule, or what I would call a textbook rule for calculating this, is if 2 integers have opposite signs, then what we do is that we take the smaller integer away from the larger integer, but the end result will take the sign that is in front of the larger integer. All right, so here the smaller integer is 7 and the larger integer is 9, so we will take 7 away from 9 and we will end up with a result of 2. But is it positive or negative? Let's find out. The larger integer is 9 and the plus is in front of the 9. So our end result here is plus 2, or we can just simply write 2 as our answer. Okay? And that's the standard way of working the problem out. Now, this one here, all right, this one here, 11 minus 16. Let's say that the 16, the integer 16 has a negative sign, and the integer 11 has no sign, which we already discussed earlier, that if there's no sign, it's understood as a positive. So they have opposite signs again, opposite signs. Yes, so if we take the 11 naturally away from the 16, what we're going to be getting here is a result of 5. But is it positive or negative? Is it positive or negative? It is going to be negative. Reason for that is the larger integer is 16 and the minus sign is in front of the 16. So our end result here is negative 5. All right. Now for this example here, you do not have opposite signs. You have the same signs. You have the same signs here. So the rule for this is that if you have 2 integers that have the same signs, then what we do is that we add both of the integers together, and then we keep the sign that is common to both integers. All right, so we're going to be adding 3 to 11, and that will give us a result of, say, 14 here. But since the sign that is common to both integer is a negative sign, then the end result here is negative 14. All right, and that's basically the standard rule here. All right, so the example are what we did right here on page 1. All right, good. All right, so I'm going to be making a video with about 10 of these questions or so, involving 2 numbers, involving 3 numbers, involving 5 numbers, and how we can use this technique here. All right, so what we want to do here is that we want to avoid using the calculator as our primary source for doing adding or subtracting numbers. We should be able to do this in our head easily and efficiently, especially when we reach the harder level in math, where calculators are not the go-to source. All right, good. All right, guys, so this brings us to the end of this video. And if it is that this video was able to give you some value, and it's a concept that you did not understand but now it's clear, be sure to hit like on the video. Make sure that you share it with your friends, your families, and anyone else who you know might be having issues with this concept. All right, so in part 2 we're going to be looking at adding and subtraction of integers using the number line, and perhaps we may create a part 3 where we're going to be adding and subtracting integers using the one-half technique. All right, good. All right, so that brings us to the end of this video, guys, and thank you for watching, and see you next time in part 2. All right, good. And be sure to look in the description box below, where you can see contact information for myself, for my Facebook, for my Instagram, for my Snap, for my Twitter, or even for my personal WhatsApp DM in WhatsApp. All right, guys, so take good care, and I'll see you next time. Until then, Apex Academy saying goodbye.